Hey guys, Thomas Jr. here, aka Mustached Tom, here with my review of Star Wars The Force Awakens. And somehow I managed to avoid all the spoilers. So, since I'm not a big YouTuber, I figure I just might as well just do a spoiler review of Star Wars Force Awakens. No big deal. I mean, I could say it's the worst movie ever. Probably worse than The Visit, Gem and the Holograms. I could say any of these things, and quite frankly, that opinion would probably would have withered away on the internet nowhere. But, figured might as well go for it. So, this movie was actually kind of okay. It does have its fair share of issues, but for the most part, it was an enjoyable film. So, we follow our heroes, Rey and Finn, or as I like to call her in the movie, the Sand Princess. She discovers this robot who is a soccer ball and then frees him or it. And this is after Finn decides that he's gonna leave the little resist rebels or whatever they're called in this movie, and go totally rogue for the good guys. And I think it does a good job of showing why, like, it was his first day on the job or whatever, and then he's like, oh no, this looks bad. But he was willing to kill rebels later on, so it's like, uh, um, Spades Nazis, anyways, they meet up, and she sort of trusts him because he's like, oh, I'm a rebellion guy. The robot knows the deal, soccer ball guy. They end up on a ship. They meet Harrison Ford. He's doing his vintage Harrison Ford thing, uh, being suave and getting into all sorts of troubles with the bad guys. Then we have his spoiler alert son, who's the bad guy. I'll just call him Red Lightsaber Dude. Um, and he's all badass and stopping bullets and stuff with the Force. And then he takes off the mask and he's a complete wimp. Um, but I feel like it's tough because, like, I kind of appreciated it and I was, like, kind of face palming at the same time. Like, come on. This guy was so badass. And then they did the reveal and ended up being, like, this wimp guy, but whatever. Um, and then Harrison Ford meets up with him at some point and then he dies. Um, and I kind of saw this coming. I mean, with Leia also in the film, um, in the way that they presented earlier scenes where they're like, oh, you're going on a mission, it's a dangerous mission, oh, you gotta get your son, oh, be careful. Like, there were so many signs leading up to that point. Um, but there were also other points of the film that were like a little bit weird. Like, there's this whole scene where the girl Rey, or Sand Princess here, is getting parts for food, and then she brings the robot, and then the guy's like, "Oh, I'll give you all this food." And then when she refuses, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna call the bad guys for some reason." Um, and I really, the one thing I don't like about this movie is that this little robot, the soccer ball, he ends up being the super duper ex machina for the entire film. Um, in order to find Luke Skywalker, like that's his entire purpose for the movie. Um, and for the most part, it's like whatever. I mean, they also have the other robots. C-3PO has a Metal Gear Solid 5 arm. I don't know. Did J.J. Abrams play Metal Gear Solid 5 or something? I don't remember if C-3PO guy's arm chopped off. It's been way too long since I've seen any of the other movies, but the other robot's there. He's shut off. He's like, "Oh, I'm depressed and I'm not gonna turn on but I'm gonna turn on later for no reason. It's fine. I just feel like waking up, not being depressed anymore. Things like that. The middle part and closer to the end, I will say I would agree with one of the other reviews that I saw that it kind of felt like some suspense was there, but not as much as I would have liked there to be. I mean, there is quite a bit of connection between these two characters, Sand Princess and Finn, but I think there could have been a bit more there, especially with Finn. I feel like he got sort of second-handed at some point in the movie, but I mean, there are two other movies, so I guess it'll probably have to wait and see what that turns out. But as far as this movie alone is concerned, I felt like he sort of got placed hold back at some point in the movie. I think they could have been equally as important in this film, Sand Princess and Finn there. But for the most part, I found this film enjoyable, pretty average. It's everything I was sort of expecting to see in this movie. Um, and to be a little bit honest, the surprises they were okay, but I mean, there were the hints that sort of led to some of them were pretty weak. I mean, the whole Han Solo thing wasn't actually very surprising at all. The reveal of red lightsaber guy was like, come on, they could have done a bit better than that. Um, but in all in all, I think it's a pretty average movie. And I'm pretty sure everyone else has already seen it, so I'm gonna give it the average 7 out of 10. Um, I mean, there are a lot of conveniences here in this movie, and I do think they could have done better with a little bit better with their two main characters. I mean, this is a fresh new start, and there are definitely some points in the movies where I'm like, there could be something added here to really heighten these characters in depth. You know, there are some scenes that dedicate it to, telling backstory. There's the point where Sand Princess is like tripping and then like she's getting all these flashbacks or whatever. And, you have the little yellow Yoda chick. I don't even remember her name, but she's like, oh, I'm not, everyone has the Force. That's how she sort of goes, I could probably use this against this guy, so I'll probably just mind read him or whatever, um, and stuff like that. So I think it's a pretty enjoyable film. It didn't surpass my expectations in any way. So you know, it can't impress everyone. Mr. Star Wars didn't impress me as much as I thought I was gonna be, but it's a pretty enjoyable film. So, like I said, I'm gonna stick with my 7 out of 10. So, that's my review for Star Wars The Force Awakens, and if I missed anything, whoops. But that's that. So, my name is Thomas Cecil Jr., aka Mustache Tom, and I'll see you guys next time.